Hi, everyone. We're at the top of the hour and ready to begin. My name is Karen Berger, and I'd like to welcome you to CASA's National News and Updates webinar. We have a great lineup for you today. Before we get started, we'd just like to go over a couple reminders that if you have questions about the presentations, we ask that you post those in the Q&A. There's a button at the bottom of your screen. Also, if you have technical difficulties, use the chat for that. We will also be posting links at different times. Excuse me. We will be posting links at different times during the webinar in the chat. The PowerPoint is currently posted on the website, and we will put the recording up there in that same place by next Wednesday, December 13th. So now I'll turn it over to Laura for the agenda.
Hi, everybody. My name is Laura Fetter, and here's our agenda for today. We're going to talk about our test development and research updates. We'll share a promising practice presentation called ELP Standards Unlocked. We'll provide a CASAS eTest update, a training update, and then, as always, share some important reminders. So let me turn it over to Daniel Esco, our Assessment Development Program Manager.
Hi, everyone. I'm sure you've seen these slides before, but I'm just going to go over them quickly as a reminder just about our assessment. So our new reading steps and listening steps assessments are ready for use, and those are NRS approved through 2030. Our life and work reading and life and work listening, for those of you who have not transitioned yet to the new STEP series, those are still available for use until next year in June 30th. So you have a little bit of time for transitioning. For math goals, our math goals series is also still approved until June 30th of next year, 2024. And our math goals 2 series is also now approved and ready for use until 2030. Our reading goals series for ABE, that is still approved until March of 2025, and our new reading goals 2 series is in development. We're currently field testing that, and we could use all of your help. And that is happening from October of this year through June of next year, all of the field testing. Okay, so now I want to just dive in a little bit about accommodations and accessibility features that we offer for our test series. So when we're talking about accommodations, we're talking about perhaps providing extra time, short and long breaks, the use of screen readers, large print booklets. We offer a number of accommodations, and you can get a lot of information about those from our website. Accessibility features, these relate to different things that we offer inside the eTests application for changing text size, magnifying the text or the passages, and also providing different color combinations to help with contrast. So to dive a little bit more into the accommodation side, we do have pre-configured accommodations test sessions that you can use, and you can contact our tech support to get those if you need them. We also offer, specifically for visual impairment and blindness, supplemental materials for supporting those students. So these include testing guidelines for students who use screen readers, also scripts for readers and scribes if those are used, and also a tactile graphic booklet specifically for our math goals series, which helps students use their hands to kind of feel the different passages, shapes, and all kinds of things that they might need to help support them in testing. Those materials are in development for our new series, and they will be available early next year. In terms of accessibility features on that side of the house, we do offer a number of these. They can be accessed in eTests. These include changes to the default text size, and also, as I mentioned, changing up the different color combinations of the backgrounds and the text to increase contrast and just make the test more accessible overall. So that's just a little preview of those features. And now I'm going to turn it over to Luke. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Daniel. Luke with CASAS Tech Support. We know that we've been going through some issues, and we apologize, obviously. We thank you guys for your patience. Please be aware that between now and Sunday, there will continue to be a possibility of testing disruptions during the peak hours. Excuse me. You're working diligently to reduce those periods of disruptions. If your e-testing sessions can be rescheduled outside those peak hours until Sunday, December 10th, it would assist in alleviating the concurrency issue. As you notice in the screenshot, we are going to add another server, which should hopefully kind of handle that situation, just like how we upgraded the server last weekend. We'll be doing some more changes this weekend as well to hopefully solve that issue. And then again, we, very glad that everyone's kind of using the, take a test. However, with that, the secure browser, we did extend that, obviously. So if you guys are worried about, switching over to the new system, or you can't switch over to that new system, we've extended that secure browser to continue to use that while we make sure we get that replacement up and running and perfect how you guys would like it. So that's been extended. So if you're worrying about that, you don't have to worry about that right now. You're good to go. And obviously, our server's having a little congestion issues, just like I'm a little congested right now. So if you've been calling and trying to just make sure, hey, is it us or you guys? It's most likely us. So we kind of always want to recommend doing those emails. The other reason is, if it's something weird that's happening, you can kind of, take those screenshots if there's an error message or something, or say, hey, this student in this test was having an issue. And that way we kind of have that information in the email, and we can kind of contact our programmers. We can kind of look in on the back end and try and get those answers to you a little quicker than trying to explain everything over the phone, trying to pull stuff, taking screenshots again. It's just something to kind of speed it up, where here's the problems, here's the issues, here's the students that are having it, or this session and things like that. And that way we can just go in and look exactly with that information. So emails are always very helpful, and we appreciate that. Obviously, you can always give us a call, but during this time, emails is just a quicker, easier, better way right now. So we'd appreciate that as well. And I'll go ahead and pass it over to Laura.
Thanks, Luke, for that update. I'm sure people are happy to hear that news. Let's take a poll, shall we? Here is our question, our poll question. Which topic is at the top of your professional development wish list? Is it assisting teachers with ELP standards, learning how to use the new CASAS reports, or would you like the gift of time? Is that in your wish list? Or maybe all of the above? Feel free to choose one of those answers for our poll. And Karen has launched the poll. You should all see that on your screen.
You can,
Gift of time. Go ahead, Karen.
You can use that scroll bar to scroll down if you can't see the whole window.
Okay, great. We're seeing it's pretty evenly split. I'm surprised more people don't want the gift of time. That's one of our favorites here at CASAS. And some people are just going for the whole enchilada here. They're going to take all of the above, but this is good to know. People need help with their new CASAS reports. I think we can go ahead and close the poll. Looks like everybody has answered for the most part.
Okay, I'll end the poll and then I'll share the results so everyone can see that.
Great. So I think people feel pretty good about the ELP standards, and after our guest speaker today, they're going to feel even better. Lots of folks are interested in learning more about the new CASAS report, so we're happy to help with that. Only 10% need gift time. I want to know how they're managing their day. They can give us some tips, maybe our next promising practice. All of the above, 43%. Thanks everybody for participating in our poll. And with that, I would like to introduce our guest speaker for today, the amazing and wonderful Veronica Pavon Baker. We love her because she's a CASAS champion, and you'll love her because she's got some great tips to share with you. So Veronica, take it away.
Well, thank you very much. Let me get this PowerPoint in the right place. It is wonderful to be here today with all of you. I'm just going to try to share some of the things that has happened since we transitioned to the new STEP series. And one of the main situations that we faced was our teachers not being aware or not have knowledge enough of the English language proficiency standards. And as you know, many of you, we have been learning about the ELPs for the last few years. But this is a little bit different, also because as you realize in adult education, a lot of our teachers are new. So mostly part-timers, they come and go. And so what we face is teachers that really were not able to attend previous trainings that we have had with the ELPs. So we started looking in a closer look, what do we do to make this easier for the teachers? And again, the English language proficiency standards is one of the main components of the new test series. So they had to be able to understand it, so they'd be able to incorporate it in their everyday class lessons. So as we know that the future requires critical challenges. And that's why adult ed has been really in this renewal for the last few years, that we know that we need to prepare our adult students to be able to improve their quality of life. And that is why many of our programs are now developing IET programs. It's not just teaching a student a second language, it's really preparing them for a better life, post-secondary education, or some type of vocational certificate. And also in accordance with the changes of the NRS educational functioning levels descriptors, you would see that the new CASAS test series steps is measuring higher order skills, and that includes academic language. So in preparing our teachers, in order for them to acquire the knowledge about the changes and how to apply effective instructional strategies, I'm going to share with you just a little portion of what we are trying to do with the teachers to make it a little bit easier for them to really prepare our students. So first of all, I'm sure all of you are familiar with this document. Highly recommended that you also share it with your teachers. It's quite a document to read. So I always say enjoy it on your Sundays afternoons. But it was published in 2016. And so there are many components to the ELPS. And one of the things that we need to remember is that the standards are really focusing on the language acquisition modalities, listening, speaking, reading, and writing, but also understanding that the language has the linguistic features that we need to encourage our students to improve. So we have been doing this all along. We know that interpretive skills is where the learner has an ability to understand and also be able to engage in written and spoken conversations and texts. Productive, we've been struggling ever since I started with adult ed. Speaking and listening. Productive, is the student able to produce appropriate spoken and written? So notice that it's not just being able to speak. I also need to be able to be proficient in writing and be able to have a meaningful interaction and be able for others to understand me. And all of our classes are very engaged with getting students to do pair group or activities in teams. And this again improve their ability to interact with a purpose of understanding, interpreting, engaging, and transmitting meaning. So we really are transitioning to a more academic, rigorous focus, because I'm not saying that we're leaving behind the life and work, but we are concentrating in also increasing the skills in the language. So the 10 ELP standards anchors They primarily cover the reading, listening, speaking, writing, and language. So our teachers need to understand that this is a comprehensive, that is not just, I'm going to do a listening activity or a reading. We should be finding ways to embed and incorporate as many modalities as possible. When we look a little bit closer to the anchors, you would see that the anchors want to make sure that the student can construct meaning. And it's not just from oral presentations. And I always remember how our students get so very nervous when they have to do presentations. But I always say, this is where you practice. This is your stage. This is where we give you the confidence to be able to do this presentation. And this applies to all levels. And sometimes we believe that only the higher levels can do something like this, but we have to start introducing even the lowest levels to oral presentations, that they will be able to appropriately just communicate through listening, reading, and viewing. But also you would see throughout the anchors, not just construct, participate, oral and written. It seems like it's always oral is going with another partner. It's not just oral. We need to encompass other modalities as well. And notice that now we see how to start analyzing and how to use or respond to those comments or questions. So throughout the anchors, you can see the academic background. You could see that this is the guide. That's what my students should be able to do. And as you look through the first 8 anchors, that's primarily that interpretive, productive, interactive that we were discussing before. And the last 2 anchors is really how to, the foundation, that linguistic features that makes up the language. And so that usually goes across to the different activities that we do. So as we provide our teachers with some understanding and also being able to apply it, and teachers have limited time. So I'm always trying to find ways, how can I provide this to a teacher in a manner that they can use it within a week? And so we try to break it down. And one of the situations is, let's look at the ELPS. And when you look at the descriptors, you see 5 levels. And sometimes this might be confusing for some teachers, because the NRS has 6 educational functioning levels. So the way to look at this is that primarily the level 1 is really covering that beginning literacy and beginning low beginning. And so that will be apply across. So you will be able to use it for the 6 NRS levels. But I encourage the teachers to really use the descriptions of the levels as a evaluation. Are my students in this level, in this, let's say, anchor 1, are they really able to identify keywords and phrases in oral communication and simple spoken written text? So this goes back, this is your evaluator. Is your activity geared to help the student identify keywords? And so throughout the 8 anchors, you would see the first one was standard 1, anchor 1, and anchor 5, you could see again, is this appropriate? Are my students gathering information from a few provided print and digital sources? So a lot of the times we don't realize that we have to bring in supplemental materials. I'm sure all of you are using wonderful texts, but every activity in a particular text can be modified, can be enhanced. And so how can I convert this? How can I make this activity to meet that evaluation if you're in level 1. And you would see, again, in level 5, you start seeing that depth of knowledge, how a student now that just carries out a short research project is going to really gather information from multiple prints and digital sources. And now he's evaluating, now he's synthesized, now he is analyzing. And this, if they don't get anything from that document of the English language proficiencies, is just print the standards 1 through 10. So you can see that this is part of your learning as well. For our teachers, this has been very helpful. And this is the English language proficiency standards explained. And this was provided or compiled by Catherine Powell from Harvard College. And it has been a blessing. Why? Because this is a one-page that helps the teachers really understand those 8 anchors. And as I mentioned before, activities can be receptive, could be productive, it could be interactive. And just looking at the arrows gave them a basis for understanding, if I do this anchor 5 in finding information, I know that my students are interacting. That means that they are conducting, evaluating, communicating findings, and answer questions or solve problems. What it helped also is just the idea that ELP 1, what is really this about? Well, this is main idea. Are we helping our students understand the main idea of that reading passage? Or it could be a listening activity that they are reviewing. And I love Anchor 2 because a lot of the times in our classrooms, the teachers are asking a lot of questions, and it's wonderful when our students respond. But we really need to encourage our students to formulate questions, so not just to answer. So the LP2 is really asking the teachers to use oral and written exchanges of information and ideas and analysis in various social academic contexts. And so this really helps the students start towards that critical thinking. Do I want to know a little bit more? Do I want to ask a question from this presentation? ELP3 is really about not just getting or writing information or writing a paper. I'm really going to be prepared to speak and write. And if you notice, throughout the anchors is always speak and write, oral and speaking, through listening and reading. Now my ELP4, am I really finding evidence? And so it is very important for students to have opinions. I think that they have to be able to express opinions, but also they need to be able to find evidence or some type of research that supports that opinion, especially when now we're asking them that when they have a written paper, find the evidence from this that you are providing to us, or in a research paper. And so it goes on, but this one page, I would have to say that the teachers find it very, very easy to use. And so together with the other documents, it makes it easier for them to really just look A through 7 and say, okay, this is really what I'm going to focus when I present this activity. And then we bring in together understanding the CASAS reading steps blueprints. I'm just showing you the reading. The CASAS listening steps blueprints are also available. But this is documents that your teacher needs to really start creating or planning lessons that are meaningful and effective. I need to know the anchors, and at the same time, I need to know if I'm teaching that level A. And please understand, let's say NRS educational functioning levels, like I mentioned before, is 1 and 2, but the ELPS is level 1. But when I look at this level A test, which I know my students are probably getting ready to post this, I need to really focus on these percentages. What is the percentage of test items? It's not necessarily that I'm going to be teaching to the test. What I'm doing is providing opportunities for my students to practice what is necessary for that level. And so you would see, of course, in level A, the highest percentage is in photos and symbols. But again, 27% is retell key details. Are the students able to retell those key details, so keywords, or identifying or finding the key details within your activity? If you move forward to level B, you will see the percentages again change. There's no more pictures. And we already know that the higher the levels, the photos are not necessary. But 66% is still details, retell key details. And this might be part of that together with the main idea. What is the author's purpose? So it's very important to encourage the teachers to find the CASAS reading steps or listening steps blueprints and make it part of their weekly or daily lesson planning activities. As you see level C, now we're really getting challenged. So our students are going to have this 5 levels. Think of it right now. We went from level A, B, and C to level A through E. So, which is great. I find it great because I think we are placing students appropriately. And I have seen an increase in the lower levels students. But now we're really identifying the students that need to gradually move to a higher and higher level. So if you notice, details is still continuous in level C to be 58. But main idea is still there. And now we introduce in level C inference. Can you infer and draw conclusions? Can you write a summary, or can you summarize this particular reading passage? Level D, it's still now is pretty evenly distributed when you look through it. But the inferences from 11% went to 18%. The main idea now is 30%. Vocabulary, understanding, academic vocabulary, it's important. And so level E, now you are introduced with point of view and supporting evidence. This is, again, new. And if we want our students to succeed, if we want our students to really accomplish a higher level at that post-test, it has to start in the classroom. So that's why this emphasis in getting the teachers to understand it, to apply it, is so important for us. Just a brief word about reading task areas remains the same in the New Steps series. We still have charts, forms, articles. There's a small change in the listening test item types. So picture prompts, comprehension questions, and also identifying true statements. And we always need to be careful with the identifying true statements. Yes, a lot of our text activities, what we have is this true or false? I need to go beyond that true and false. I need to identify, based on our conversation, if this is evidence-based, not just a true and false. So we need to really be very careful when we are identifying true statement is based on that prompt or on that conversation you're listening. Is this true? And it's not necessarily a true or false. It would be statements that you need to understand. So the goal is to continue training. It is an ongoing professional development in ELPS. It is now once every 2 weeks. And so I'm learning from all the teachers as well, because they are creating wonderful lesson plans that they are sharing with others. So this is just a short presentation, but I will be available in the Q&A to answer your questions. Again, for the sake of time, I wish I could meet you all, but wish you all the very best. Transitioning to STEPS was as easy as I could imagine. Getting the teachers to do what they need to do, that's where our challenge is. Wishing you all a very good day. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Veronica, for sharing your knowledge with us today. Just so grateful to you. And if you ever have a chance to attend one of her sessions, at a conference, you definitely want to see the whole enchilada. So as Veronica mentioned, teaching teachers how to implement the ELP standards, it's a change management issue. It's hard for teachers sometimes because it seems so complex. So how can the CASAS reports help you develop a professional development plan so that it's easier for your teachers to begin implementing the ELP standards? So I want to share just an idea using the CASAS reports. As you know, the new CASAS assessments for ESL learners are aligned to the ELP standards, and the new reports reflect this alignment. So here's an example of a content area summary by form level report at an agency level. So you see the 4 beautiful graphs in different colors that outline each of those content standards: vocabulary, details, main idea, inference. So you see that they're at different levels. Vocabulary is at 38%, which is the lowest, and details have been identified at 56%, which is the highest. And at the bottom of this report, you have some more information. You have vocabulary, and it's an ELP standard 8, the number of questions for that C-level group, agency group, and then the percentage correct. And then details, main idea, and inference. So I think everybody has seen this report. You have an idea of how this is broken up. But let's take a closer look at how you might use this as your compass to develop your professional development plan. Well, you may look at this for your C-level teachers who are teaching at that level and say, okay, we have the ELP standards. We have 3 level 1 ELP standards covered in this report. Maybe that's where we should dig in with our teachers, and we'll dig into the ELP standard 1 for our professional development plan. So that's one way to slice it. Or maybe you say, look at the details. You have a high percentage of questions asked for details ELP standard 1 with 56%. Maybe we'll develop our professional development plan focusing on how to teach teachers, how to teach students to understand and read details. So that's just a couple of ideas for how you might approach developing a professional development plan to create kind of small bites for your teachers as you collectively work together, maybe with your PLCs, your professional learning communities, or just a monthly deeper dive on a certain content standard or area that is identified on the CASAS content standard report. So those are just some ideas that we wanted to share with you today. And with that, let me turn it over to my partner in crime, Karen Berger.
Thanks, Laura. So field testing is well underway. We got started in the middle of October. Some of you probably saw this ad come through as an email requesting your assistance. we're really excited and like to remind you that it really is a great opportunity for your students to practice. They get gift cards, and the particular quote on this picture, it's really interesting when you think about it. Here's an adult learner, the first time they ever earned something, and they feel very proud of themselves. So we're really happy that we still get to give gift cards, and we get so much positive feedback from programs. They appreciate being able to do something nice for their students, in addition to having them participate in this research. So we're starting out with our final form studies. Like I said, we started about the middle of October, and one of our main goals in there, this is to get paired tests from students so that we can compare them. The final forms eventually will be what are called the pre and post tests. So this new series will replace our existing Reading Goals 2 series, and will have the same structure as the other new test series. So we're doing it now, and we will continue through the end of the program year. All levels of ABE, ASE learners are welcome to participate. It can be delivered through eTests and paper pencil. And also that the students may take a locator or an appraisal, depending on what you decide, plus 1 or 2 level tests. But of course, we always hope they can take 2 of those level field tests, because that's where we can get those paired scores and really see how the performance is on the 2 tests by the same learner, and of course, making them appropriate as pre and post tests. So we also have some other information. The student gift cards, as I already mentioned, again, to encourage students to complete more than 1 test, they get $15 for 1 field test. But if they're able to complete 2 field tests, then they get $40. And on occasion, a student gets a 3rd field test, and at that point, they would get $60 for 3 field tests. We still offer complimentary web test units for participating programs. And we also have some special studies going on. So with the final form studies, we had that I mentioned first, we have students take 2 tests within a week, within 7 days. So we can see how they perform on both forms at a certain level. But the learning gain studies, you have the students take 1 test now, and after 70 to 100 hours of instruction, they take a 2nd test. And that way we can see if they're also appropriate for measuring learning gains. Our level A field testing study is particularly for students who have reading goals scale scores of 208 or below. So these students will be allowed to take a field test and be put either in a testing session with a level A test, or be given the level A booklets without a locator or an appraisal. And then finally, another sub-study is that students that are taking these Reading Goals 2 field tests, if they get placed at a level D or E test, they might be eligible to receive this free voucher for the GED Ready subset. So also students who are have Math Goals 2 scores can jump on that if they're in this other field testing study. And finally, if you want to know how to get started, you can contact me at fieldtesting@casas.org. I can send you more information. I can help you plan how to implement it. I want to say thanks to everybody who's already field testing, and we're really excited that you were able to participate so quickly, and we're hoping more of you will jump on board with us. And so I'd be happy to meet with you. And if you email me at fieldtesting@casas.org, I will reply with more information as needed. So thanks again, and I'm going to turn it over to Astrid.
Hi, everyone. Thank you, Karen. I just love, and I have to shout out my Connecticut Peaks. I just love those quotes from the programs who have field tested. How exciting that quote gets me every time. This is the first time I earned something. I'm so proud of myself. And I just think that speaks volumes. So I'd like to give you a little bit of a training update. We have some exciting things happening on the training front. First, and I know some of you might have had the opportunity to go through it, we are thrilled that we have a new test series module on the new test series, and that's available at our training site, training.casas.org. You scroll down to course categories. It's located in the CASAS Help Documentation and Resources category. And the name of the training module is New CASAS Test Series Overview. It's interactive, it's multimedia, it's dynamic, and we really hope that you'll take a look and then share it with your agency. I had a lot of great help here from CASAS in creating that with some partners, and we do hope that you find it interesting and informative. Also, that module launched, and very soon we will be launching a completely redesigned and overhauled CASAS eTest Proctor certification module. It is, again, interactive and multimedia. It will be used for both initial eTest proctoring certification and also recertification. There'll be 2 separate paths. It will be available soon, so stay tuned. Keep checking back on the training site, and we'll announce when it's available. So we hope that you'll take a look. This is just kind of a sneak peek of the storyboards that we're creating with our partners to bring that training to life for you. All the modules are in the process of being updated with the new test series information, updated test reports. You've seen a lot of that today, and so those are being incorporated into our training modules, the new blueprints, the ELP standards, all of those new documents that go along with our new test series will be represented in our training modules, and they'll be updated. And that's something to keep on the back burner to look for as well. As you know, the training site shuts down and closes for a brief period over the Christmas holidays. So we ask that all of your training be completed. If you are in the midst of training and you keep checking back, make sure that you get it completed by that Friday before Christmas, that 22nd, December 22nd, so that when we reset our training server, nothing will be lost. Everything will be there, but we just want to be sure that you get your training, if you're in the middle of a training module, that you get it completed by then. This is a question that we're getting a lot, and I'm sure it's on a lot of your minds as well. With the switch to the new STEPS test series, we no longer have this Form 27 and 28. That was part of Life and Work. And that's a big question that we're hearing. What about Form 27 and 28? What do I do with those really low literacy ESL students when they come into the program? I know so many of you relied on those. They were consumables. But we don't want you to fear, we don't want you to fret, because the STEPS Level A test can be administered as a consumable. So just as those level 27 and 28s were, where the students could, write in the book and circle them, they can be used as a paper test and as a consumable for Level A. We just wanted to be sure that your agencies were aware of that as you bid farewell to the 27 and 28. Another helpful tip is to perhaps have those very low-level students e-test, but using a touchscreen device. That can also be helpful for students with very low literacy levels. And we wanted to touch on this as well with the new test series and the sunsetting of that 27 and 28, we have updated our intake screening guidelines for the STEP series. We know that many of you are very familiar with that intake screening, and we have this document available on the website. Basically, if a student is having great difficulty with that initial interview and is scoring 2 or below on that reading screening, CASAS recommends that they be given some hours of instruction and then given a Level A as a pretest. Again, touchscreen devices can be really helpful, as well as using that level A as a consumable. And this document is available on the CASAS website as a PDF, and you can save that. We recommend really that you kind of print it out and keep it handy just to refer back to. Okay, and with that, I'd like to turn it over to Christine Maines. It is that time of year again.
Thank you, Astrid. It is not too early to save the dates. On the next slide, you'll see that our Summer Institute is coming sooner than you think. June 17th through the 20th. Next summer, at the beginning of the summer, we'll be at the Hyatt Regency, Orange County in California again. We're excited because our registration is opening soon, but we also want you to know that we highly recommend you book now your room if you think that you're coming, because we always have a block of rooms available for you. So early bird gets the worm. Also, the registration will be opening soon. Registration for the conference opens January 15th, 2024, and that will be posted on our website. And I'll post that link in the chat in just a moment. So be sure to register as soon as possible. There will be the tech labs and the sessions posted, so you can choose which technology hands-on labs you want to get scheduled for, as well as the implementation training sessions. If you have questions or you need assistance with your group registrations, please contact our support team, CASAS-SI@CASAS.org, and one of our team members will be happy to assist you about Summer Institute. Thanks so much. And now I will turn it back to Laura.
Great. Thank you, Christine. So just want to invite you all to attend our next news and updates webinar, which is going to be Wednesday, February 7th. So we hope that you'll join us there for more updates. At our next webinar, we're going to be talking about the breadth and scope of what CASAS has to offer across all programs. So we're not just for ESL, we're not just for ABE. We'd like you to have CASAS be your compass across all programs. So we're going to be sharing with you a sneak peek at the reimagined work skills certification system, which is a job readiness program, and using CASAS cut scores to determine training eligibility or eligibility for your CTE programs. And then we'll also share a little bit about the CASAS ONET alignment project. So we hope you'll join us at our next news and updates webinar. It's going to be a good one. And with that, we're going to wish you all happy holidays. Thank you so much for being a great partner.